Now what complaining means is that we're rejecting this present moment, which is produced by cause and effect. It's karma. That's why we have what we have now. Karma means that whatever you're experiencing right at this moment, you deserve. It's a hard one to take, isn't it? Sometimes we say, why me? It's unfair, it shouldn't have happened. But really, if you see the big picture, it's what you deserve. Now the most important thing is the second half of karma. Karma from the past gives you this moment now, with all the problems and difficulties and all the happiness as well. The most important part of karma is, what are you doing about this? What are you doing with what you have right now? And the most amazing thing about the law of karma is you can always make something out of whatever you have to deal with. You can always make, as I keep on saying, a beautiful juicy mango out of dog shit, if you know how to dig it in and wait for a while. You can always do something with what you have. And one of the most wonderful parts of life is hearing these stories of people who have gone through such terrible, terrible, terrible ingredients and made such a wonderful life for themselves. I remember the last time I told the story of when I went to Fremantle jail some years ago, because I used to go teach prisoners in these different jails in Australia. When I went to Fremantle jail, one of the things we noticed in the old Fremantle jail, as soon as you went in there was nothing green. There was all this, the Fremantle limestone. And some of the prisoners said, who'd been in there many, many years, that they'd forgotten what the colour green looked like. And also that there's so many buildings and there's such small courtyards, they'd had to look up to see far distances, and they would very rarely do that. They said one of the first things which they noticed when they were released after 10, 15 years was to see like green trees, flowers, and to see far distances. And I could understand that, visiting into that jail. It was a very, very nasty place to live. But the social worker who greeted me when I first went into that jail was a Czechoslovakian girl. And I remember her story, and just what a wonderful woman she was, so much so that 10, 15 years ago now, her name was Dasha Sinkova. She was one of my heroes. Because she told me what happened to her. She was about 16 or 17 in 1966, when the Soviet tanks came into Prague. They were behind the Iron Curtain. There was a communist regime. They had a leader, Alexander Dubček, who was reforming the state and giving more freedoms and liberalizing the oppressive regime with the huge support of his people. But that upset the Soviet Union so much that they sent their tanks in to reclaim the country. She was one of the people who stood on the streets protesting. That's all she was doing, just protesting for the freedom of her country. No crime, no violence, just standing up silently protesting. She was arrested and put in jail for I think 25 years. 25 years of your young life, 16 or 17-year-old, and this was in an East European jail. She told me that how she was beaten regularly. That was par for the course. There was no Amnesty International in those jails. It was behind the Iron Curtain. Could have been less than 20, I think 20 years, not 25 or whatever. But she was regularly beaten. But she said, even though she'd done nothing more than protest for the freedom of her country, and she was so young, and that sentence was taking the best years of her life, of her young life, she said that she would never allow herself to get angry. Even during the beatings, she would never allow herself to feel ill will towards those people who were perpetrating that violence against her. She said that was the only thing which she could protect, her freedom not to react. And you can imagine what a strong-willed and wise person she was. Which is why when I met her many years later, she'd eventually been released and resettled in Australia. And she told me, being a social worker in Fremantle jail, no matter how hard it was there, whenever any prisoner complained, she'd take them into her office and tell them what a real prisoner's like. They went back outside saying, "Oh, Fremantle Jail's a wonderful place, it's a wonderful place."